All right. Red River rock fight, as I called it.
Yeah.
It wasn't not a rock fight for a good chunk of this game. The final was 23-6. It's a little deceiving because this was very much a defensive battle. This game featured only one offensive touchdown. It was a nice pass from Arch to DeAndre Moore in the back of the end zone, I believe in the third quarter.
Yes.
My takeaway from this game was that it was nice that the main story wasn't about Arch Manning.
Agree.
Like, no offense to Arch and no offense to the Texas offense. I am so sick of the Arch Manning storyline at this point. And I have to imagine a lot of people listening to this, watching this, feel the same.
I imagine Arch Manning is sick of the Arch
Arch
Manning.
Manning is sick of it.
Yeah.
Steve Sarkisian is probably sick of it. Even if you don't give a rip about Texas,
Yeah.
you are probably sick of Arch Manning and the Warby Parker commercials and the articles being written. And it's just, we all understand why.
Yeah.
We're all college football fans at heart. It was nice to see a game in which this was a Texas win that had to do with defense and special teams. 3 picks of John Mateer, a punt return from Ryan Niblett. It was certainly not a shining offensive effort for Texas, but
no,
they were good on third downs. They didn't make any backbreaking mistakes.
They ran the ball.
They ran the ball. I mean, some of those numbers I think were offset a little bit by the fact that they had a couple long runs in there, but still they ran the ball. They did run the ball. Arch had some nice moments, but he wasn't having a headliner kind of game, not by any stretch of the imagination. It was just a really solid team effort on the Texas side in a really big rivalry spot. John Mateer did play in this game, which maybe we can discuss a little bit and how he looked or how we thought he didn't look.
Yeah.
But 23-6 for Texas is a really, really big win for them.
Really nice win for Texas. Obviously, for the Texas defense that had, sort of new questions, especially last week after their performance or lack thereof in Gainesville. I think it was Ryan Niblett who had the punt return touchdown, like 70, 80-yard punt return. Obviously, you want that insurance. Texas seemed to, as the game wore on, feel extremely confident that they could handle a very interceptable John Mateer, who didn't seem like he had the hand, I guess, in this case, to throw it down the field confidently and with a good amount of zip beyond, 15, 20 yards. Not that that was, Oklahoma's a big part of Oklahoma's offense anyway, but he was throwing a very interceptable ball.
I was wondering for a portion of this game if they cut the thumb off.
Yeah, he was sort of all over the place. The offensive line was all over the place. The offense in general was all over the place. And I actually was quite impressed with how there was a good amount of confidence to John Mateer, as there always is when you watch him coming out of the gate, though. They score points early, and he looks like he is in command, and he's excited to be out there. But the more this game wore on, the more he just was not, able to have command over this offense and find a rhythm against this Texas defense, which was flying around. To their credit, they step into this game after a disappointing performance against Florida with their hair on fire. And so, as for Arch, I think Texas fans probably exhaled a little bit. I wouldn't say that the populace of Longhorn fans is saying, okay, he is now what we expected and hoped he'd be. But like the throw up, I think it was up a sideline to Parker Livingston. Like you could see stacking different positive things in a way that wasn't always there, that you hope can be built upon for the rest of the year for Texas. Obviously, this was a week filled with like Sark is now 2-93 against top 10 teams, right? Like he's getting the James Franklin treatment. And so getting that win against a top 10 Oklahoma team, whatever Oklahoma's ranked by the end of the year, notwithstanding, like it was a good exhale game for Texas here, and that it's in a rivalry spot, that you get a giant gold cowboy hat after the fact.
Love that.
It's all gravy. It's all icing.
Love that.
Texas needed this one.
They really did. And Sark spoke to that coming into this game, how, in so many words, or maybe I'm paraphrasing, but basically implied this is a necessity to win this game.
Of course.
And they did so in really impressive fashion. Just one final point on the Arch thing. He came in as the Heisman frontrunner. He's not going to win the Heisman Trophy. It has definitely been a rocky start, but he is a first-time, full-time starting quarterback.
Yep.
in arguably the toughest league with a tough schedule, especially a tough road schedule. So it shouldn't be a surprise if it were anybody else. If he were struggling, I don't think it would be a big surprise to find a first year full time starter in these situations. It just so happens he's got that name. Yeah, that's a lot to bear. Okay, that's a lot to carry. But if they can, in the interim, turn him into an effective game manager until his confidence comes up, until he kind of grows into this role a little bit more, until they can kind of really turn him loose. Obviously, the raw materials are there. He's a Manning. But if they can lean a little bit more on this defense, if they can get this ground game going, if they can take some of the pressure off of him where he doesn't feel like the weight of the world is on his shoulders, they will be better for it.
Agree.
And I think we saw a lot of that here. Again, not necessarily an offensive effort that's going to light the world on fire,
Right.
but a really good team effort. A really good team effort to get the win in Rivalry. You'll take the win however you can in the Red River game. So I
Uh,
give them a lot of credit.
and just to close the loop, Ty, they've got some winnable games. They've got some challenging games coming up. It's at Kentucky, at Mississippi State, Vandy, Georgia on the road, Arkansas, and of course the rivalry. I think it's Thanksgiving weekend against A&M, wherever A&M is then. But right now they're top 5 team and growing.